and welcome. This is the Power Program, where leaders, account, and communities come first. The Power is your platform for informed discussion and on governance, development, democracy, and issues that affect our communities. This program comes to your screen every Tuesday at 19 hours, live on Bulozi TV, the pride of Barotse, on TopStar Channel 120, right? That is in Lusaka, Chongwe, Rufunsa, Nalolo, Kalabo, and surrounding areas, as well as Mongu and Limulunga district, where our guest is coming from. Hopefully, he watches us. Right, that is in Western Province. You can catch us equally on Facebook, that is Bulozi TV, TikTok, Bulozi TV, YouTube, Bulozi TV, and on LinkedIn, we are Bulozi TV. I am Bruce Mwipihi Masalela. Tonight, we focus on a topic that becomes increasingly important as the country draws near to the polls on August 13 to elect new leaders, starting from the president, members of parliament, mayors, council chairpersons, and councillors. Right. So today we are discussing the role of the local authority in the electoral process. And as many citizens understand the roles, it's important, yes, that many citizens understand the roles played by political parties and the Electoral Commission. But fewer understand the responsibilities of local authorities before, during, and after elections. To help us unpack this important subject, we are joined by the Council Secretary for the Limulunga Town Council, Mr. Namenda Kaonga. A very familiar face. Bashemi, wamiamwela kwa studio alunae. All right. Allow the guest to introduce. Just allow the guest to introduce himself briefly to the people that do not know him, and to those of you who know him. But there are some details that you probably do not know. I think I'll give him some few minutes before we, pump him with questions. Bashemi, mwamwezu.
Thomas. I'm Namenda Kaonga, born and bred in Naus Congo district,
okay,
of Western Province, previously Kalavo. Mavizo waka kina Namenda ni ulezi mwa Western Province, kwasi Congo, kana kwe hasamula wa kukawanya. I did my primary school in this Congo. There is a school called Lumena. From there, I came to Kalavo Secondary School, where I did my grade 8 to 12. When I finished, I went to the Copperbelt University to do my degree, and I'm an urban planner by profession.
Okay. So
over the years, I worked in the local authorities, starting with Chongwe Council. In Copperbelt, I went to Karush Municipal Council. And then from there, as a town planner, he rose up to the position of director planning, where I now got transferred to Chipata. In Karusha, I was there for over 6 years, the Copperbelt. And then Chipata, I was there for over 5 years. That's where my promotion as a council secretary found me. My first station was Isoka Town Council in Muchinga Province. Some 6 years ago, I found myself at Limulunga Town Council in the same capacity as a council secretary.
Right. Yes. Very beautiful and a rich CV coming from Mr. Kaonga over there. You've toured the country, in short. Because yes, from here, you went to Copperbelt, to Chipata, and you are back here again.
Yes.
How has been the experience throughout the country?
The experience is very interesting. It's one Zambia, one nation. You find differences in approach to many things. How people perceive development in one province may differ from another. There are different experiences on how people carry out their economic activities. If you are in Eastern Province, the song is farming. Mm-hmm. If you are in Muchinga, the song is farming. You come here, people are farmers, they rear animals, cattle, that is. They also are involved in fishing activities, generally also in business. But you find that one thing that is common is the traditional structure in all these places have the same approach to development, and they also have the same approach to how they handle their people.
All right.
Everywhere you find, they will tell you, we are custodians of the traditions for our people and on behalf of our people, including the land that is there.
Okay.
Yeah, so what you see here, you find some similarities in other places. Of course, where there are certain advantages, I may not go into those details.
Definitely,
Sure.
definitely. All right. Do remember, this program is being televised live right now on Facebook. So if you want to get, take part into the discussion for today, you can go to our Facebook page in the comment section. Tell us where you're watching us from, as well as leave a comment. If you have questions and you want to talk to us or talk to Namenda, the number is 0773 738114. 0773 738114. It is right on our screen right there. Now, Mr. Kaonga, many people associate councils with roads, markets, and waste management. What role does the council play in an election period?
You are right. Most people think we are just involved in service delivery that involves infrastructure, cleanliness, and everything. But we are involved heavily in electoral activities. Maybe where I'll start it from is that these electoral activities are a mandate of the Electoral Commission of Zambia. Our constitution has provided for ECZ, and then it also tells us to say the existence of ECZ, which is established under Article 229, will exist at the center in Lusaka, then it should be in the provinces and progressive in the districts. But then now, since they are not everywhere as the center office, there has to be another function that allows them to be found in the district. And how are they in the district? So the Electoral Process Act, that should be Section 5, subsection 3, has given powers to ECZ to confer such authority to an officer or an institution of government or a local authority. Actually, it also says it can impose, in case they confer you and then you refuse, it can impose a function to say, Bruce, we are imposing this on you, you have to undertake it. So it has recognized the district, which is the local authority. But then maybe the question is, why the local authority and not other institutions? It's because our constitution provides for the local authority being in charge of the district. Actually, it says a local authority shall administer the district. And because of that, it stands a better chance in the sense that when ECZ comes calling, it needs a vehicle now or a platform that is suitable enough to exercise their functions or duties. So maybe the electoral activities should be drawn from the constitution, including other relevant statutes. You find the constitution, for instance, says ECZ should implement electoral processes. And these electoral processes are now diverse. You need to conduct elections, referenda, register voters. You need to conduct, to regulate the conduct of the voters and the candidates, for instance. But then how do they do it from Lusaka? So then, because this local authority has a mandate to administer the district, to work with the schools, work with health posts, work with markets and every stakeholder, it now becomes easy for the district to take these functions. So then now, you find that as we administer them, we have been empowered and conferred this authority by the Electoral Commission of Zambia. So then this local authority now should perform these duties and either as instructed according to the time, like this is a time for elections, or once in a while they write a letter to you, kindly do this, do that, and then you have to perform that duty. So then now, on the ground, you find that if we can just give a summary, ECZ has a mandate to carry out delimitation of boundaries, that is for polling districts, wards, constituencies, and then now they will transfer this to the local authority. So if they are doing delimitation, the local authority will be written to say, the cash secretary or town clerk, we appoint you to be in charge of this on behalf of the ECZ. Can you identify stakeholders to work with? So now the DO At that point, we call them DO as district electoral officer. But if it's delimitation, they will be called the district delimitation officer.
Okay.
They will need to appoint a citizen who knows the district well. They need to appoint planners who interpret the map. And then you do a notice to invite stakeholders. But they must identify a suitable venue.
Okay.
Then, after that, you have a function of registration of voters. Before you go and get your voters card, a lot of things happen. We need, first of all, to identify people that are going to do this job. A lot of staff recruitment for registration officers, staff recruitment for voter education in the field. From there, we need to train, and it's easy to say, can you go ahead to train? And then there are materials that we use. So it's easy to say, as a DO, can you identify a suitable place where you secure these? And then we need to look for a storeroom. A district like Limulunga, where we don't have a permanent storeroom, ECZ brought a container. That should be a 12
straight from Lusaka.
Yes, straight from Lusaka, where we keep these materials. Just like any other district that do not have a suitable place where they keep materials, they have containers brought by ECZ. So when you do registration of voters, all the kits, all the pouches, paper, stationery, we receive them. Someone has to receive them. Your job is to just go and get a voter's card. But at that point, the position changes. It's now a district registration officer working with the identified staff that will be assistants in the field to register, assistants to do administrative duties. The next year, we have verification that we had in March. This is a key activity that takes a week or so. At that point, the DO changes to district verification officer. Okay. Yes, and then now you have to execute all the functions. Make sure at every polling station there is a register received and a person is identified and taken. After that, we come to nominations. From nominations, you revert to district electoral officer. Now, this is where we have a lot of staff that is identified. For nominations, you need the returning officer. For the ward, as well as the returning officer for parliamentary, for those nominations.
Yes.
If it is at a province, you also get the town clerk to become a returning officer to register those 100 supporters for the presidential. And then we also need to identify other staff that will help support staff that work in that place where we do nominations. We need to inform stakeholders, call them for these meetings and brief them on what will happen on it. And then we need to also appoint and send all the appointed officers to ECZ. But then the DO has other people that you don't see. There are people who are in charge of payments, those in finance. You need to appoint a finance officer, you need to appoint a cashier. Then ECZ has a bank account held by every local authority in the country. This bank account, if there are no electoral activities, it's dormant. And after that, you reactivate it. Okay. It has to be able to receive funds, and those are the ones you use.
Right. I think you've answered quite enough. I think I've heard you've actually given us more details than we anticipated. You've said you've answered the how question, as in how you cooperate or how you work with the Electoral Commission of Zambia. So it suffices to say that you being a local authority, you're supposed to be neutral in the process of the elections.
Yes.
Why is it important for you to remain neutral?
The general term we use is that ECZ is a referee. A referee on the pitch, for instance, a game of football, should not side with any team. So they will be able to control the conduct of a match. So in this case, it's electoral activities like campaigns, handling candidates. You need to be neutral. Every candidate should feel free to attend, to come to your office, to ask you a question, and they should not have any suspicion that perhaps you are working with the other group. Because at the end of the day, imagine you call for nominations and no candidate turns up. Who is ECZ without politicians? So it means we will not go anywhere. So those are critical, and it means we need to create a conducive environment for them to go and reach out to our people, and when there are issues, they must be able to come back. It's an electoral board that is independent. To all the districts to make sure that whoever is is participating, up to the usher, up to the staff in the polling station, they must be neutral and should not side with anyone in order to bring integrity to the electoral process and the results.
Right. Is there a level playing field in Limulunga right now?
Right now, I will tell you to say there is a level playing field. Where does it start from? After nominations, we are all mandated to prepare a campaign timetable. So this campaign timetable is actually prepared by the participating candidates themselves.
Okay.
From the ward to council chairperson, National Assembly, they prepared this campaign timetable. They agreed how long they will be in a ward, how long they will be in a particular place, to a point where there is no one who will tell you to say, they have gone into my territory at a wrong time. So each person knows where they are going, and we have given them copies so that they know where to be at any time. If there is any problem, they have our contact lines. They are able to reach us at any time to make sure that whatever problem that is there, each person should feel free to undertake their electoral activities.
Right. And what other responsibilities do council employees have during this campaign, especially since you came up with the timetable?
Yes.
What role do the council employees play in making sure that that timetable is implemented, it's not infringed?
Thank you very much. During this period, not every council employee is able to participate, but I will mention the key ones. First of all, you have stores officers, procurement officers, finance officers, you have other secretariat staff under conflict management, under voter education, you have a DVEC coordinator, and then we also need to bring some that may not be necessarily working for the council. These include a returning officer, 2 assistant returning officers for field and administration, another assistant returning officer for IT. These may not be working for the council, but during this period, they are part of the electoral process at the council. You also have Zambia Police that also come in. These put together, they turn out to be my inch people that I work with. So now, the police and my office, including conflict, they make sure that in the field, the politicians are conducting their campaigns without any problems. If there is any violent activities, they should quickly be handled.
Okay.
Also, we need to do voter education under DVEC. This is where you see our voter education facilitators in every ward. You have 2. They need to go every day for 2 months up to 31st July to conduct their activities, but then someone has to provide for their fuel. That is a council employee who is employed as a DVEC coordinator. Someone has to clear that payment. Someone has to assign a vehicle. Their vehicle is given by ECZ. We need to make sure that all this is done smoothly. Then we also need to have someone who is on 24/7 with a phone on to receive any complaints from the politicians that are campaigning in the field. And this is the secretariat for conflict. So this person is well known by all the candidates, because when we had 2 political liaison committee meetings, we called this person, invited her, and she gave out her line to all the politicians to make sure that at any time they reach out if there is a problem. So this makes sure that at the end of the day, the campaign timetable is implemented smoothly. But then there is also avoidance of a clash between ECZ, the VEFs, and the campaigning teams from political parties. Our VEFs in the field don't conduct meetings where the politicians are conducting meetings as well. So to make sure that we give that independence and credibility to our campaign timetable, our team of foot soldiers are instructed to be on the ground, but to go where the politicians are not conducting election, are conducting campaign activities.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, as you know, humans, we tend to bend rules a little. Once in a while, you find that someone goes out of the way. And if we're talking about public order, what happens to those who maybe they misread the timetable, or maybe it slipped their mind, and then they find themselves in one area?
Because you have every area, every ward occupied by a candidate at every level. Remember, you have ward, you have National Assembly, council chairperson. each person will strictly follow, but those who go outside their boundaries will be noticed by someone whose territory is breached. But then, if at all they go to campaign in a designated area, and there is no one campaigning in there, there will be someone who will report. Because remember, we have observers, we have monitors, we also have election agents. Every candidate has an agent. Someone will definitely report. So these candidates also have what we may call inchmen and women on the ground. So we believe in every locality they have a representative, and that representative knows to say this is not supposed to be here. So they will call their candidates to say, oh, someone is campaigning in this place where you maybe I'm in this ward, but I'm in a certain zone. I can't go to the other zone, which I should have been to, but someone is illegally there. So I will definitely be informed. So what they do this is to phone the DEO. They can also call the person in charge of conflict management, the secretary, or they call the officer in charge. So now, the first person that responds to such a situation is the officer in charge, because him has to make sure that there is law and order and people should be in the designated places. So if I receive that, the first thing is I'll call the officer in charge. Why do I do this? Because in case there will be violence, let the officer in charge handle that. Because a conflict that we can handle must be a minor conflict, where maybe it's exchange of words, usage of vulgar language. Yes. But if it turns violent, that means now it has to be the officer in charge police to handle it. So at that point, if you go in a wrong place, let the officer in charge handle it.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. You are watching the Power Program, a program that comes to your screen every Tuesday from 19 hours to 20 hours. And today, we are discussing the role of the local authority in the electoral process. Most of you know that the council is only known for, garbage collecting, fixing roads, maybe gravel roads. Because when we talk about tarmac, some of you say, no, they can't fix tarmacs. It's only, feeder roads and whatnot. But today we are being told that they are also involved in the electoral process. And so, unpacking all this vast knowledge, with me in the studio is Namenda Kaonga, who is the Council Secretary for the Limulunga Town Council. All right. The number you can call us on is 0773738114. That's the number that you can call us on. Equally, you can go to our Facebook page. There in the comment section, you can tell us where you're watching us from and leave us your comment. Definitely, we'll read it out, and Kaonga here will respond to your query, which whatever it may be. Wona mwambwa, womwana mwambwa kwa Limulunga la sepa kuli marubuha shangwe batile bashami bamina kiwabo Kaonga eni lipuzoze munani bakona kwa rabani bona baikutwera onafa. Now, Bashemi, you've mentioned conflict management. I've heard you, I think, 4 times now, referring to conflict management. What is a conflict management committee?
This is a committee that is appointed by the Electoral Commission of Zambia, with instructions to DO to identify representatives from specific organizations. You need to get from those maybe under civil society, you have human rights, you have security wings, Zambia Police, DC, or ACC. You also need to pick from media, you need to pick from the church, then you pick someone from the community, a well-known person who is neutral, and then you put them together. These form a conflict management committee. You also look for a political party that has been prominent in that particular area maybe for 5 years. Then you identify a person. Then you have secretariat from the council. When you write this organization, they will give you the names. Then you send them to ECZ for clearance. Once they are cleared, you appoint them and they are trained. So these exist to receive complaints.
Okay.
Remember, you also have the officer in charge in there. So then they receive complaints from the political parties or the candidates, because some are independent. So that when there is a minor dispute, they now form what we call a small committee to do a mediation.
Okay.
You call the two parties together. This one will complain, the other one will respond, this one will speak, you ask questions until you reach consensus. Then you agree. Now you write an agreement to say this is how we have agreed. But these are only restricted to those where you are able to deliberate and discuss. If it's anything to do with violence, it goes straight to the police.
Okay.
So if someone says, no, I'm being called names, I think this has to be handled, then you call the parties concerned. And you must reach a conclusion.
Okay.
You cannot allow them to go back. So this committee is trained to make sure that they handle all these conflicts to that level where both parties, as they go back, they should not come back with the same complaint, but something else. So it becomes active just after nominations, and it will go all the way until you go on poll day after elections. Then a few days later, this committee can now have its final committee meeting. From there, then they do a report and they hand over their mandate.
So the conflict management committee can only carry out its mandate if there's someone to report, if there's someone to complain.
Yes, there has to be a complainant. If there is no complainant, then it will not start going around to start guessing. However, ISZET has gone a step further. They have established a website, and beyond that, they have come up with what they are calling early warning system. This early warning system is where you go to your phone to complain, to send something. I think there is a code that they gave us. It must be *214. There it will guide you through the process for you to be able to report if there is anything that you need to report. So once you report, there will be someone who will receive your complaint and do a verification. And what has happened is we are supposed to train soon. In every ward we have identified a VEF that is going to be receiving these complaints in that particular ward to make sure that they communicate now to the center. On the website, there will be a way of them reporting. So that where there is a complaint, you can even complain anonymous, so that no one knows that you have submitted a complaint. So once that complaint is done, it means now we now need to make a follow-up, and the secretary for the conflict management has been given powers to receive these and empowered to make sure that they can make follow-ups at the end of the day.
All right, we'll get back to you. Just hold your thought as we answer this phone call. Good evening, and your names and where you're calling us from?
Thank you very much. I'm calling from Norway.
Kwanalwe, mabizo abona bashemi.
Mabizo abona kibona bonyambe.
Shangwe bonyambe mwakuna kuzwela piti.
Mpuzo ya Amerika. Ndio bataka kuvuza bosiyesi bao.
Shangwe.
Ni kuri kikaba kalani na kwa election akunduwa ngafera maruti. Kusiya baba mufera abantu baba example bibaye kokubotisa. Niba tubabo basiwa banani mapepa ezakuri bakona kwenda kutebenzi ngokolona kukapera mungamaru apesa ube ikipuri kinze bisakuri babere kibakanzo opportunity yokyabona kono basiwanga kambe kibona bana basiwanga kashekure bari parabu zibosiye bakezari leadership yana bafumani kubaba muyende kambe baba mbona babo leadership yema kubona kaba basika ipumana fo chwale fa out da kuri kubota kutachwana wabele kibunga tabali mulunga makaya kubota ka chwale ili todo zepenzeo
Petumez bashemi. Shangwe. Nasepa kuli ya utwalile makwesheni.
Utwalile puzo.
Ensha.
Ya pili neli kulikinga lukitanga maluti.
White teachers.
White teachers and the other categories. Why don't we give the council employees a big chance so that they can also learn?
Yes.
According to various districts, depending on the polling sessions, I'll talk of Limulunga, we have a required number of 384 that we need to employ. Vavele Kiwa Council, they are less than 70, but some of them don't qualify. Those who qualify and they apply, they are picked. kuna ni baba ambao size apply. There are some who don't just want to participate.
Okay.
They will never participate in elections. You can't pick them because they need that experience. No. Then also, the only reason why we have many teachers, kapalo na nima teachers awanga takikuli, kona babangata kwa applicants. Kwa ngolali mama di applications yale, ma teacher kona babangata. Bagisa kuli, most of these polling stations are schools. So they take that chance to apply, so you have a high number yava route. But we have school leavers as well. We also have people from these different places cover apply. Now, at the moment, I will tell you that I have almost 2,000 applications. I only need to pick about 404 for training.
Wow.
Then now, you now have to go for what you feel is okay with you. If we dispute kakuyaka, whoever applies or balancing, what if they will mess up with the elections and there are various petitions? Then happen to have any problem because instead at the end of the day should deliver a credible result or election. Yes, so we try by all means to balance. You need to pick some that are school leavers with good results, with experience. You need to pick some from the council, some from any other organization. But when you put them together, for instance, they should pass the aptitude test.
Okay.
Because the aptitude test is about ECZ. So if they don't know anything about ECZ, then it becomes difficult. They also depend on manezi. Maybe your experience, you may not make it. Otherwise, we try by all means with a balance.
Okay.
Shangwe.
When you put kwa conflict management committee, now you said for it to carry out its mandate, one must complain. There must be a complainant.
Yes.
And also there's a new system where ECZ
does system.
Yes. Now, is that a third person or even just the aggrieved? Is it the aggrieved party or even a third person?
Even a third party now.
Okay.
The early warning system where you use your phone allows everyone. You can even report as anonymous. Where you need to put your name, you just want to report to say, Kwanu kudanze zahara. Maybe it's one political party and the other members opponents are not there to witness. Okay. So a person, a community member can just report to say there is this. I think in the next few days we should be having this system getting the maximum attention from ECZ.
Okay.
Yes, we got the training for the trainers. We are just waiting to train the people that are in the ward and make it public. They are still working on the website to make sure that that text message it's able to reach our website quickly.
Okay.
Yes.
Now, all right. Maybe just a few minutes before we move on from conflict management committee. Why can't this committee just jump on or rather act on or carry out its mandate without anyone complaining? Because I think we've seen a lot of I don't know about the Limulunga, but here in Mongo we've seen statements that raise eyebrows like that statement, and nothing has been done about it. Why can't the conflict management committee just carry out its mandate and reprimand such a person or bring them and talk to them?
There are certain situations that can lead to violence. As an electoral body, if you ignore that, you may have issues. So depending on the nature of issues or the nature of cases, Zambia police has always been active on the ground to make sure that such things are handled. But you need to look at whether it has a particular threat that may go into beyond perception to an actual reality. So investigations usually are done. They don't just sit. They also get alerted with certain situations on the ground to make sure that if there are certain scenarios going on, there will be a way in which members or the affected parties could find a way of being sensitized to understand. So what do? They go to the radio station to talk about conflict, to make sure that we are sensitized enough to easily understand that this situation actually requires to be reported. So now if we start going to say, can everyone with a complaint come and then we may find that even some that may not be substantiated could be given. But we do sensitization through radios to make sure that we provide all the scenarios to make it easier for anyone to provide that feedback and make a complaint. Except we may not just start looking at cases without any report at the end of the day. When you call someone, what evidence do you have?
Yes.
And then how do you resolve it? That's why we end up going for sensitization to make sure that either the affected parties or even you can complain to say, I think based on what I heard on the radio, I think there is a problem here which requires to reach the conflict committee. Yes.
Right. Now, as you know, when during campaigns, when there are campaigns, a lot of services, public services get affected.
Yes.
All right, they get affected. Now, what measures have you put as a local authority to make sure that public service isn't interrupted?
Not everyone who needs to work for ECZ during this period. First of all, as a DO, you have those that you are working with under ECZ, but then you also need to have the other parties that will be able to progress with other services. But there are some that have an intersection set. I'll give an example of procurement officers and stores officers. A procurement officer will still be able to do procurements maybe for CDF, for other processes, even when they are procuring certain services for ECZ. A stores officer will still provide fuel for service delivery,
yes,
even when they are busy with ECZ. So we still have to make sure that we are multitasking. It is incumbent upon the principal officer, who is the DO, to make sure that nothing goes to sleep, because services have to be delivered. People still have to see government implementation. Remember, our budget implementation calendar is January to December.
Yes.
So no one will listen to me to say, no, between May and July or August, we couldn't do this because we were conducting elections. That's why literally in every position you may have more than one person that is able to do that. If you have a single officer, they should be ready to do all the tasks for both ECZ as well as the council, because they are still paid by the council during this period.
Right. Apart from voter education, what other role does the council have in encouraging citizens to participate in elections?
Apart from voter education that we administer through the people that are on the ground, we also talk to these candidates. By the way, when we brief them before they go in the field, we tell them on the importance of voting, for instance. So even candidates tell people how to vote. The only thing they do is they tell them where to vote
and who to vote,
and who to vote for. Otherwise, we interact with the stakeholders. We also, in public meetings, we do those discussions away from the general non-voter education.
Okay.
We also make sure that sometimes at every event, maybe there is a drama away from our voter educators. Maybe you are attending a particular funeral where people ask you need to talk about it. You need to have posters that are taken. We also need to basically encourage one-on-one. I need to ask people. Sometimes you find a group of youth. You ask them, have you ever voted? No. Did you register? Yes, we did. Are you going to vote this year? Yes. Do you know how to? So there are those direct interactions.
And why is it important for citizens to participate in development or in the electoral process itself?
The electoral process, according to our constitution, is the number one key to development. It's the one that opens gates to make sure that there is development. You need to have a councillor that will bring views on the ground, from the ground to the council. You need to have an MP who get constituency issues to parliament. You need to have a president who is going to preside over. So at the end of the day, you need to choose who should represent you, who understands, and that's the importance. But if you don't participate, then you may have the person you didn't want to represent you going through by one vote because you didn't participate.
Okay. Well, you are watching the Power Program right here on Bulozi TV, the pride of Barote. I'm in the studio with...